Hello there, my name is Xodas and welcome to Xodas Gaming. In this video we're going to be doing a in-depth Frost Death Knight guide for patch 3.0.4? Or is it 3? The latest patch in Warlords of Draenor. And basically we're going to be covering a little bit of everything. Okay, a lot of everything. It's going to be a long video. We're going to be covering rotation, talents, glyphs, macros, enchants, and gearing. For those of you who watch my channel and my videos regularly, then you're probably saying, yeah, you uploaded a video like this not too long ago. But things have changed, there's been hot fixes, there's been changes to a couple of talents, and also, you know, feeling out the new things, like the new talents and the new glyphs, you gotta get a feel for those, and the new stats too. So I've gotten a feel for how the game works, and this is my honest opinion on what the best setup for your Frost Death Knight is at the moment. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, with the rotation, it's not that hard. The rotation for Frost Death Knight is pretty simple. That is definitely the easiest part of the DK. And that is opening up with 2 obliterates, and then dumping your runic power. Now you're probably thinking, what about Howling Blast? You do not. I repeat, you do not Howling Blast unless you have a proc. If you have a proc, Howling Blast. If you do not, then do not Howling Blast. So open up with 2, 3 obliterates. I guess 3. Yeah, 3 obliterates, and then you want to dump all your runic power. If you have a Howling Blast proc, use it. And then after that, you wait for runes. You obliterate. You obliterate as many times as you can. Then you Frost Strike. And then if you have a proc, you Howling Blast. Rinse and repeat over and over and over again. It's more of a priority system. Think of obliterate as priority number 1. If you can obliterate, you do obliterate. If you can't obliterate, you Frost Strike. If you can't Frost Strike, you Howling Blast. On proc. Think of it like that and you can't go wrong. Other than that, don't have Plague Strike even kept on your bars. There's no reason for it. And if you are worried about your dot uptime, then use Outbreak as the first thing, as your first global when you open up on someone. My only opinion on that is to save it for when you burst, because it's just going to get dispelled. They're not going to be worried about actually dispelling them. They're just going to dispel for some other reason. So there's really no reason to apply Outbreak at the beginning of the match, at the beginning of the fight. Just wait for when you burst and hope that you just get that extra blood plague ticks on the enemy you're trying to kill. So that's pretty much it for rotation. It's pretty simple. And if you have any questions, of course, please feel free to leave so in the comments below. I love to answer your questions. Alright, so let's get into talents for the 3 different branches of PvP that we're all concerned about: 2v2 arena, 3v3 arena, and RBGs. We're going to first off begin with 2v2s. So for 2v2 arena, I really recommend Plague Leech and Necrotic Plague for level 56 and level 100 talent, just because of the fact that you're going to be getting kited a lot, and you're going to be getting CC'd a lot, because there's only 2 people, so you are going 50% chance of any CCs going out is going to be on you. That kind of makes Breath of Xodas a little shitty for 2v2 arena. I mean, let's be honest here. You're just going to get CC'd to death, and you're going to get slowed to death, and you're going to get kited to death, and you're just going to waste a 2-minute cooldown. You might as well run Necrotic Plague, get a little bit more damage, and also get that extra runic power, because once again, you're going to be getting slowed, you're going to be getting CC'd, so you're going to get, and you're also going to be getting attacked probably. So, I mean, it's not too bad. Necrotic Plague, it's going to be good for you. It's going to be a good thing to run. In certain cases, in 2s, you're going to be able to run Breath of Xodas and Unholy Blight, but that's only going to be against certain comps. It's only going to work against double melee comps, or healers that can't really escape that well, such as, let's say, a Disc Priest. Disc Priests don't really have too many outs. If you force Dispersion out of them, or whatever the hell it's called, then they don't really have an out other than, you know, popping a shit ton of cooldowns. So, in certain cases, you can use Breath of Xodas, but 99% of the time, you're going to be using Plague Leech and Necrotic Plague. For a more in-depth guide on the level 56 talents for 2v2, 3v3 arenas, then you can click right here, and it will take you to another video of mine, which very thoroughly explains to you everything you need to know about these talents and why they make such a big difference, you know, how you use them and when you use them. Now, as for the other talent trees, Then you want to be running Lichborn, always. This is universal. Lichborn is just way better than Anti-Magic Zone and Purgatory. You're going to be running Asphyxiate or Chillblains, once again, depending on the situation. First of all, you got to think about your comp. Is your comp heavy in stuns? If you're running with a Feral Druid, if you're running with a Rogue, if you're running with a Ret Paladin, do not ever run Asphyxiate. DR City, you won't get any kind of CC chain out on a healer or DPS to save your life, and it's just not going to end well. So in that case, you would want to run Chillblains, get a Silence and a Root. Or, if you're running with a Silence-heavy team, such as a Mage, a Priest, then you probably don't want to be running Chillblains, you want to be running Asphyxiate. You also got to think about what you're facing, too. There's a lot of different things. Is this a comp that's gonna you know, kite you? I mean, if you're facing a Monk, then you're gonna want to go Chillblains. So you got to think about what you're facing and what you're running to decide on what and when you want to use these abilities. As for your level 60 tier, you're going to always run Runic Empowerment. Once again, this is 100% universal. I have another video right here, once again, that takes you to another video of mine where I fully, in-depth explain how these abilities work and why you need to be running Runic Empowerment no matter what. So just click right here for that video. For your level 75 talents, you want to be running Conversion, universally. Death Patch for Frost DKs is not that good. 2-minute cooldown, 50% health. That's not that big of a deal. So what? That's 2-minute cooldown. That's not going to save you from shit. That's going to save you for about 30 seconds. Whippy. Now Conversion, if you use it correctly, you kite, you keep your runic power high by using Chains of Ice, by using Howling Blast, then you can keep Conversion up quite a bit, and if you're kiting, then that 6k per second really starts to stack, and it really makes a huge difference. It allows you to play extremely defensively, using your Death Strikes to get your runic power up, and then once your runic power is up and your Death Strikes can't be used anymore because of lack of runes, then you turn on Conversion and you kite. Once your runes come back, then you go Death Strike their face until you run out of runes, turn back on Conversion. Kite. Rinse and repeat. You are an unkillable machine of unparalleled stupidness. It is ridiculous. So definitely run Conversion. If you're thinking Death Siphon, it's good for Blood DKs, it's good for Unholy DKs, but you gotta think, Frost DKs, Conversion only costs 10 runic power per second. Unholy DKs, it costs 20. For Blood DKs, it costs 30. Conversion is meant for Frost DKs and for very good reason. For your level 90 talents, you're going to be running Desecrated Ground, and this is almost universally. Gorfine's Grasp is used in RBGs, depending on the situation, such as your comp, and also what your strat is, and also what map you're on. Remorseless Winter can be slightly useful in certain situations, but I don't really recommend it for arenas. That extra PvP trinket is just too much to turn down. That is so huge. And especially since it's not just a PvP trinket one time, but as long as you're standing on it, it's a PvP trinket. That is absolutely huge. For arenas, have to run Desecrated Ground. If you're in RBGs, well, we'll get there in a moment. So that's what you need to know for 2v2 arenas. Let's move on to 3v3. So for 3v3 arena, most of the time you're going to be running Unholy Blight and Breathless and Dragosa. Once again, depending on what comp you're facing, if you're running a comp against a comp that has high kite ability, high CC, high slows, do not, I repeat, do not run Unholy Blight and Breathless and Dragosa. It's just going to be a waste of a 2-minute cooldown. If it's a team that is kind of simple, they don't have too many kites, or they don't have too many CCs, or if they do have a decent amount of CC, then you're able, to get dispelled out of it, you're able to trinket it, then you're fine, you're golden. But if it's a comp that's just gonna peel you for days, don't even attempt it at all, unless the kill target is melee. The kill target is melee, then you're golden. So in that case, if you're not running Unholy Blight, Breath, and Dragosa, then once again you're running Plague Leech, Necrotic Plague. If you didn't hear me last time, if you want a more in-depth explanation for the level 100 and level 56 talents, here's a link right here to the video in the screen. There's also a link in the description below for you, those of you on mobile, that will take you to a video of mine where I explain it all much more in depth. I give you, hard science, hard numbers, and I just explain to you why it is the best possible scenario. As for your other talents in 3v3 arena, once again, Lichborn, as I said before, is universal. Asphyxiate and Chillblains, All depends on what you're facing and what your comp is. You just got to use some logic and decide what is best for you at that given time. And then Runic Empowerment, once again universal. If you didn't hear me the first time, link right here on the video, and a link in the description below for those of you on mobile that will take you to a video where I explain to you why Runic Empowerment is way better than Runic Corruption or Blood Tap for Frost DKs. Conversion, have to use it for no matter what. And then 3s, once again, Desecrated Ground is just the golden rule. That extra PvP trinket is absolutely a must-have. So let's go on to RBGs. In RBGs, you're gonna be typically running Unholy Blight and Necrotic Plague, unless you're on a map that is based around killing someone quickly, such as Power Ords in Temple of Mogu, Capture the Flag, anything like that where there's a kill target that needs to die ASAP, in which case you're going to be running Breath of Xodas. But on maps like, say, Arathi Basin, and you know, other bases and other maps like that where it's capture the base, there is no specific kill target, it's kill everything and fast, then you want to be running Necrotic Plague and Unholy Blight, because it's just the best scenario. And when you team it up with Gorpian's Grasp, you grip everybody in, you pop Unholy Blight, and everyone's instantly got 15 stacks of Necrotic Plague on them. Stupid damage, retarded damage. That is a must-have. So for maps that are not based around killing one specific target, I recommend running Necrotic Plague, Gorpian's Grasp, and Unholy Blight. If you're running a RBG that is focused around killing one target, not numerous, one target, such as a Flag Carrier, then you want to be running Breath of Xodas, Remorseless Winter, and Unholy Blight. Remorseless Winter is good because of the fact that it will slow them and it will stun them. That is amazing. So they can't kite. More people on your team is getting time on target. Makes a huge difference. So that is what you want to be running for RBGs. As for your level 58 talent, you want to be using whatever you want to be using. You can run Dust Advance, get kited less, although I don't recommend it. Chillblains is pretty great for the extra root, and Silence is pretty nice to just be able to focus Silence and help your team with CC Chain. And Asphyxiate can also be okay. I would recommend running Asphyxiate if you're a Flag Carrier, which if you're a Flag Carrier is a Frost DK. Your team's not that good, so just warning you now. Rogues are the Flag Carriers. And then everything else is universal. Runic Empowerment, Conversion. Universal. So that is your talent build for RBGs. Time to move on to Glyphs. For Glyphs, it's pretty simple. You only have two builds. Two very simple builds. So no matter what, you want Glyph of Icy Touch, because that allows you to dispel magic effects from an enemy target. That is pretty amazing, especially against Disc Priests, and I know a lot of you need help with killing those Disc Priests. We all do. So you want to be running Glyph of Icy Touch no matter what. Then these are the two that can change depending on your situation. Glyph of Anti-Magic Shell and Glyph of Runic Power. What these two glyphs do is Glyph of Runic Power, whenever you're struck by a movement impairing effect, you will generate 3 Runic Power every 1 second for 5 seconds. Pretty cool, self-explanatory. Glyph of Anti-Magic Shell causes your Anti-Magic Shell to absorb all incoming magical damage up to the absorption limit. That's really great against teams that do a lot of heavy magic damage, such as teams with a Mage, teams with a Warlock, teams with a Shadow Priest, teams with a Boomy, the obvious. Now, if you're going up against a melee team, then Empowerment's definitely the better way to go. There's only really 3 other glyphs that you really are ever going to be changing these out with, and that is Anti-Magic Shell, or not Anti-Magic Shell, Regenerative Magic, which basically lowers the cooldown on your Anti-Magic Shell by a certain percentage based upon the magic damage you take while it is activated. And then you have Empowerment, which heals you for a maximum for 30% of your maximum health, which is pretty sweet. And Dark Simulacrum, which will reduce the cooldown by 30 seconds. Dark Simulacrum's really good against teams with like a Feral with Druids, or against a healer team, because you're able to steal things so often and you're able to help out your team. It really brings Death Knights to a very strong support role. You're able to roll out extra CC, you're able to roll out extra heals, etc. So it's really nice. Use at your own discretion. I can't really tell you when you should be using it, when you shouldn't. Just kind of think about it logically. I know this is a guide, but think about it logically, and it will come to you. Use it on teams where, you know, it obviously makes sense. And then Glyph of Empowerment. This is definitely my least favorite glyph, just because I can't speak. Empower rune weapon is just such a great aggressive cooldown. It can make all the difference in your burst, and I don't like the idea of having to use it so defensively. When you're glyphing it and with Glyph of Empowerment, you're really starting to think, should I use this aggressively to try to secure a kill, or should I use it defensively to try to heal and last longer? I don't like having to think about that. I just want to be able to smash my, smash empowerment and do whatever I want. I really don't like this ability. It does have its place in Arena for sure, but I don't think it's all that needed. Empowerment, I use it on just so rarely, and usually if I use it, I'm using it for 2s. I don't think I've ever used it in 3s, so, or RBGs, so use it whenever you feel like you need it, but otherwise, I don't really recommend it very much. Regenerative magic is nice against teams that have slight magic, but not necessarily heavy magic. Teams where you know they're not going to be attacking you, but they're going to be CCing you. Glyph of Regenerative Magic can be used in certain situations. I do recommend using it to a more advanced player, because once again, like Empowerment and Simulacrum, you just gotta eyeball the comp and you gotta decide for yourself. I think Regenerative Magic is better than the other choices? So I recommend this to more advanced users for sure. And I know if you're an advanced user, you're probably not here, but it's kind of hard for me to tell you when you should and shouldn't be using Regenerative Magic. It's very much kind of odd to use. I recommend just, if you're new to Death Knight or if you're new to the game, just sticking with basic Glyph of Anti-Magic Shell, Glyph of Icy Touch, and occasionally swapping it out with Dark Simulacrum or Empowerment. You know, that's what I recommend for glyphs. I hope that made sense. If you have any questions whatsoever, make sure to ask me in the comments below. I'd love to answer your questions. So time to move on to macros. Alright, so macros for Death Knight are pretty simple. First of all, you have your Breathless and Tragosa macro. But you're probably thinking, a macro for Breathless and Tragosa? Well, it's because I don't want to accidentally turn it off, now do I? And neither do you. To do that, you just do /cast, exclamation mark, and then Breathless and Tragosa, and basically that makes it to where you can turn it on, but you cannot turn it off, no matter what you do. It's very handy, and it's a must-have, definitely. The next one is Conversion macro, which is the exact same thing. It makes it to where you cannot turn Conversion off, because I just don't want to turn it off. It's usually gone so fast that it's not a worry of just waiting it drop off. Some people might say, oh, well, I need to be able to turn it off. In that case, do it. But you have an issue with sometimes getting a little overexcited and hitting your button twice and thinking it's on, like me, then you definitely need this macro. If you don't ever hit the same button twice, then you're good. You know, twice in a row. So that's definitely a very important macro for me. Next of all is Focus Chains. I use this to chains of ice to my focus target. This is great for peeling from my healer while I'm also bashing in the enemy healer's face. This is one of only 3 focus target macros I actually use. The next is Focus Death Grip. Target equals Focus Death Grip. Once again, great for peels, great for gripping heals, great for gripping cyclones, because when you grip them, it obviously moves the enemy, and by moving them, you interrupt their spellcasting. Definitely a must-have focus target macro. Next is Focus Strang. Also Focus Asphyxiate. If you put in Strangulate, it automatically turns into Asphyxiate when you change your talent. So this is obviously your Focus CC. This is extremely important to have. Ideally, if you have an extra button, you also want a Focus Dark Simulacrum button as well. But I don't have an extra keybind, and I just prefer to do it by hand, by like clicking on the enemy, clicking the Dark Simulacrum button. That's just what I do. But ideally, you want your own focus target Dark Simulacrum ability as well. Next is your one-shot macro, for lack of a better term. and that is pretty simple. Slash cast Pillar of Frost, slash cast your current PvP trinket, slash cast Unholy Blight just in case you're running with it, and then slash use any strength potions or anything like that, any extra toys or anything you got in your bag that you just want in there because it'll give you that extra boost. So that is your one-shot macro. Next I have a heal macro. This is for RBGs, and it is slash cast Alliance Battle Standard, which you can purchase from the PvP vendors over in Stormwind for 500 honor, and it basically increases everybody in your group's maximum health around you by like 15% as long as the battle standard lives. So it throws that down. Slash use Healthstone, slash use Draining Invisibility Potion, slash use Shieldtronic Shield, which is that's a toy that I got from my Gnomish Gearworks that won't apply to most of you. Slash use Healing Tonic, which is a healing potion which has a, it's from alchemy. Slash use Brawler's Healing Tonic in case I'm in a Brawler's Guild, and slash cast Vampiric Blood because this also is a blood DK macro for me. So obviously there's a lot of extra junk in there that you're probably not going to use, but I literally just dropped everything in there that could possibly be on me at any given time to help me heal. And like I said, I mostly use this in duels, I use this in RBGs, I use this when I quest, so it's just kind of like a, kind of more general macro, which you don't necessarily need, but I recommend. Other than that, there are no other ones I use. The rest of these are macros for looking for players to play with. So macros for Frost DK is pretty simple. There you go, that's it. Next up, we're going to go into stat priority and, more importantly, enchanting, because as you guys know, there are enchants out there, and the enchants are for your cloak, your rings, and your weapon. I believe that's it. Yeah, your cloak, rings, and weapon. So for your weapon as a Frost Death Knight, you want Rune of Fallen Crusader. It's not something you pick up at the auction house. It's from your rune forging ability, which is done over at the Even Hold. Other than that, you want to be running with full versatility enchants. For its short time, I did do some testing around with running mostly mastery and a little bit of versatility, and on target dummies it seemed to show a very sharp increase in DPS, but when I tried to use it in practical situations such as arenas and RBGs, I honestly did not see any difference in DPS. It honestly, according to SCADA, according to recount, and according to damage done from the BG damage done thing, my average DPS stayed the exact same. Sometimes it's actually a little lower too. So I honestly don't know there, but I do know for sure that versatility works extraordinarily well. So just stack versatility as far as your enchants go, and get as much versatility as possibly can get. Now we're going to go on to gearing, and gearing is so complicated in Warlords of Draenor. Like, it is stupid complicated. There's just so many choices. So let's start from the bottom and get through it. This part of it is probably going to be a little bit long. So for starters, you absolutely have to have the 4-set bonus, which I don't have at the moment for stupid reasons. I hate you, Blizzard. And so because of that, you have to make a lot of hard choices with your gear, because only certain pieces of gear actually have the 4-set bonus, and those certain pieces of gear also have the worst stats, and I mean crit strike and multi-strike. These aren't horrible. Multi-strike is okay, but it's not ideal. Where's haste? Where's mastery? I would very much want haste and mastery, or versatility and mastery on this gear. But that's nothing we can change. Blizzard's full of douchebags right now with the gear, and I've sent many angry messages and none have been replied to. So basically, you want to go for as much mastery and versatility as possible, while still keeping in mind that you want your 4-set bonus. Right now I'm working on getting my 4-set bonus back because I got very unlucky with getting certain pieces of gear through RBGs, and I was forced to be like, okay, either I run with old gear or I lose my 4-set bonus. So you gotta make some tough choices. Lots and lots of tough choices. But basically you want to be running with the cruelty arm plates. So Primal Gladiator's arm plates of cruelty instead of prowess. You want to be running with the Primal Combatant's dread plate chest piece, the Primal Combatant's cloak of cruelty, or Primal Gladiators. Yeah, Primal Gladiators, you know, just, you know, the Cruelty or the Dread Plate, you know, those are the things that change. You want the just regular Primal Gladiators Plate Shoulders. You want the Primal Gladiators or Combatants Choker of Cruelty. You want the Primal Gladiators Plate Helm. You do want Primal Gladiators Dread Plate Gauntlets. Dread Plate is the set which has the 4-step bonus. You do want the Girdle of Prowess, not the Girdle of Cruelty. You want the Primal Gladiators Dread Plate Leg Guards, once again for the 4-step bonus. This actually has decent stats. And then you want the War Boots of Prowess, not Cruelty. For your rings, you want 1 Cruelty and you want 1 Accuracy. And for your trinkets, you want, obviously, the Primal Gladiators Badge of Victory and the Primal Gladiators Insignia of Victory. Remember, gladiators, combatants, you know, it's all the same, basically. Just keep in mind that what changes is the Cruelty and Accuracy and Prowess. Those and the Dread Plate and non-Dread Plate are what makes the difference. Dread Plate and non-Dread Plate is the difference between a 4-step bonus and a non-4-step bonus, and Prowess, Cruelty, and Accuracy are different in stats. So keep that in mind. As long as you get those correct, then you should be golden. That's how I'm currently gearing. Obviously, I actually need to change something. One of these pieces, either my helmet or my shoulder pads, need to be Dread Plate, but they're not, because once again, I believe it was my helmet. No, it was both my helmet and my shoulder pads I got through RBGs, and I was like, well, damn. I don't want to you know, I don't want to sell this piece of gear. It's amazing. It's the next tier. So tough choices had to be made. I recommend probably going for the shoulder pads in Dread Plate, because the helmet actually has Mastery, Multi-Strike. The shoulder pads, Haste and Multi-Strike. Shoulder pads aren't needed. So for shoulder pads, definitely go Dread Plate. Do not go with just regular Primal Gladiators Plate Shoulders, and that will give you your 4-step bonus. So there you go. That's all you need to do for gearing. I hope that made sense. Once again, please leave any questions in the comments below, because I'd love to answer that, and I would love to clear some things up for you if you couldn't understand any of that. I know there's a lot to cover. There's a lot going on. There's lots of different choices, and it's just really complicated. This whole, like, everything about WoW right now is just kind of complicated when it comes to choices. They went a little crazy with it. So, with all that being said, I hope this guide really helped you. I hope that you liked it, and that you'll leave a subscribe and you'll leave a like. If you have any questions whatsoever, even if it's not related to this guide, please leave them in the comments below. I will definitely answer them, I swear. I promise. And other than that, I'll catch you guys later.